Leadership is situational and power is assumed. I first heard that statement probably in my early 20s and have thought about it often over the years. And I don't know if a truer statement about leadership has ever been made. Leadership is situational and power is assumed. It's important to understand the dynamics of leadership if you're in a management leadership role or if you're an hourly person that's kind of low on the totem pole. This dynamic affects you and affects everybody. We need to understand that leadership is dynamic and constantly shifting. The person who is acting as a leader, and by that I don't mean the person in a role of authority, but I mean the person that others follow as a leader, maybe the person that in that situation has either knowledge or experience, charisma, or maybe all three, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that person in an authority role. Okay, first of all, it's important to understand the dynamic of leadership. What is a leader? Again, we need to look at this more as a verb than a noun. Leadership means there's the dynamic of people willingly following somebody. If we look at leadership versus management, you measure management always from the top down. As you go up, say, any organization, you have fewer and fewer people at higher levels that have increasing amounts of authority or power. So you have, say, a plant manager in a factory and going on down to the lowest level hourly workforce. And we're used to those in authority positions, say in any business, giving out marching orders, setting the goals, the targets, and then cascading it down throughout the organization. Then maybe at the different levels there are performance appraisals done on a regular basis to see how well people are meeting those objectives and targets. So management is measured from the top down, but leadership works the other way. Leadership can only be measured from the bottom up. Only someone at a lower level can say that he trusts or would willingly follow his or her supervisor or manager. Leadership is all about trust. It's all about following someone that you put faith in. You have hope in achieving whatever you're out to accomplish by following that person's lead. Remember, there's only one definition of a leader, and they have willing followers. This rules out manipulation or anything along that line. Leaders need a code of conduct, and that code of conduct should be the golden rule. We want to treat others in the same way that we want them to treat ourselves. So if your boss or manager or supervisor is not living by that code of conduct, I'll tell you right now, they're not a leader. The best example of true leadership is parenting. If you look at a mother or father, they put the needs of their children first. There's nothing they wouldn't do to protect their daughters and their sons. And this is what we see in leaders. Again, a leader is someone we would willingly follow. Okay, where that dynamic comes into play, again, if leadership is situational and power is assumed, I've been in several business meetings and environments where I've noticed that the person that is the greatest leader in the group is not the person with the highest level of authority. This might be a project or something where, again, everyone is watching that person who has the greatest level of knowledge and experience. And this is the person they're going to take their cues from. We might be in a meeting where, again, you have a lower level person that's just very charismatic and highly respected. So as information is given by management, everyone is watching this lady or man to see how they're going to respond, and they're going to follow suit. That's the leader. Where it's important to understand that dynamic, that again, leadership is always shifting and power can be assumed, is it really levels the playing field to a degree. If we have managers who are self-seeking, who are pretentious and arrogant and looking out for me, these are not leaders, and the people in the business need to recognize that. So they need to see how the dynamic of leadership works, because it gives you leverage. It gives them a way to kind of counteract those manipulative positions of authority. So what is that leverage? How do you assume power? Again, you look to the individuals with the knowledge, who has the experience, who is charismatic, who do people respect. These are your voices. These are the people that have the best chance of arguing your position and getting management to make changes. And we need to understand that dynamic. No matter where you're at in an organization, you might find you have a lot more power than you realize, even though that you're lower down the totem pole. And everyone needs to understand that concept. Leadership is situational, power is assumed. If you have experience, knowledge, charisma, you may be able to assume that power that is needed to shift the dynamic to where what needs to happen does happen, to where you have good leadership. Again, don't just look for a position of authority. Someone who is a leader today and respected, once they kind of show their hand that they're self-serving and they're quick to sacrifice everyone else for their own needs, then it's important that you recognize that there's been a shifting, and you don't want to follow those leaders. Again, they're not actually leaders, they're self-serving. It's the opposite of a leader. A leader is a protector. We follow a leader not to empower the leader, but to empower ourselves because we share their beliefs and values. Maybe they're going after something that we feel strongly about, and we want to, again, collectively support this initiative, like following Martin Luther King with the Civil Rights Movement. So when the leader is no longer serving the needs of the people that are following him, then again, leadership is gone. We need to recognize that that dynamic is always shifting. So remember that. Leadership is situational and power is assumed. Recognize who your leaders truly are and be clear on what you expect from your leadership.